Yo, what up, guys? Welcome to the #1 Pokemon fucking podcast in the world. We're back. We were gone for a little bit. We got a new face and a new guest. We'll get to that. But
No, new face, Carl. That we don't care about.
we don't care about Carl. No, just
No one ever has.
Anyways, if you haven't watched this podcast before, it's Faded Town. We get the best personalities in the game. We get the insight on their life, how they got into the game, what their plans are throughout the year, what they do outside the game. It's just the best fucking podcast, guys. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Like, are you fucking nuts? Like, what is going on here? You gotta subscribe. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, everywhere. You can listen to it. It's fantastic. But let's get into it. We had a new co-host with us.
Yo.
Introduce yourself, man.
Yo. Alright, you guys, if you don't know by now, I got my hands in everything, okay? These little hands are in everything. I'm Carl Peasy Barone, aka the People's Champ. And yeah, I don't know. The opportunity came up to I've known Zach through Tate for about a year now. Zach seems a lot like me, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's dive in on it. I love doing stuff like this. It seems like more of like a personal kind of thing, and the big draw was the whole uncut kind of like I could finally cut loose, because I feel like sometimes I kind of hold back a little bit with how I could be, because I like to be a certain my way, but
yeah,
I'm here with you, Zach.
Right.
Super glad to have the opportunity to co-host Faded Town, bring it back with you.
I appreciate
have some different kind of discussions, bring something different to the content community, man. So I'm on board, man. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, so like when Kevin left, I was like, what am I gonna do? Who am I gonna get? And then you said you want to do it. I messaged you, and you said like the perfect message to me. And I read it. I was like, this is my fucking guy. He has the same vision, and the community's gonna love it. The community's gonna love it. It's gonna work. But enough about that. Let's fucking jump into our guest here. You might have heard him in the background, but we got the fucking stat guy with us today. If you're a fucking Pokemon fan, you're not checking out pokestats. Like, what is your problem? Like, he has it's like the effort, the numbers that are put out is insane. Like, when I look at that stuff, it blows my mind that at one point this person was doing it by himself. He's straight up just doing it by himself.
It blows my mind too.
Right? I'm like, it's insane. But we got Tate with us, guys.
The man
How's it going?
Stats.
The man behind the stats, for sure.
Man behind
and like, at the end of the day, dude, stats don't lie, dude. Stats don't lie.
If you go into the hidden pokestats page, you find me.
Right. Right. I go look at my stats. I'm like, all right, never mind. Let's just play it. Only like two victories, or not even victories. 0 League Cups. We don't want to talk about it. Anyways. How's it going, Tate?
It's going good.
It's going good. How's your day going, man?
Pretty good so far. It's dark as shit out right now. I feel like it's midnight. I lost track of time about 2 hours ago. It's like.
Dude, I don't. Do you guys have daylight saving time where you're at? I know some places don't. Like, Arizona doesn't do it. Like, when I talk to people from Arizona, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, this stuff's fucking me up. It's like, yeah, it gets dark at like 3 o'clock. It gets dark here, like 3:45. I'm like, it's time to go to bed. My mom messaged me. She's like, you got to go pick up your sister. I was like, I was about to lay down. What are you talking about? Yeah. But you're a college student, correct?
Yeah. Sophomore.
All right.
University of South Sewanee, Tennessee.
See? Is that all you?
Why?
Why?
Because they have a really.
You can go anywhere.
I know. So they have a really good bio program, and I really like. So actually. The story I tell people is I actually read a book by one of the professors here, and he's only part-time here now. He teaches at a bunch of places. His name is David Haskell. He wrote a book that I really like.
Smart as shit.
Yeah, he's British, so of course he's smarter.
Oh, is that how that works?
I knew it.
Dude,
I
no
knew
wonder Omnipoke wins regionals. It makes sense. Makes sense.
That guy's smart.
And
His book was he basically just sat in a spot so we have a whole forest on campus here, kind of. It's a huge campus, and he just picked a spot in the forest and sat there for a year and journaled it, and he wrote a book about it. And I thought that was the coolest shit. So when I was applying to schools, I was like, all right, what was that guy's school again? And I looked into Sewanee, and now I'm here, and I'm a bio major, and I'm loving it. So
that's what's up.
Did he, for a whole straight year?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's actually dope.
He didn't move at all?
Dude, Carl.
Oh, damn, that's the shit right there. That's dedication.
He
just sat there, bro.
Sat there for a year?
The same spot.
No, you do it every day.
He went home and shit?
Yes.
He just turned into a rock. He really, wanted to...
Literally was people watching for a year, and he came up with this book.
That'd be funny.
Right.
Did he go on the weekends?
I have no idea, dude. He just went whenever he wanted to go.
For somebody's protege, I think you're doing a kind of shitty job.
Come on, dude. He went.
We're here. He's always in London or wherever the fuck he goes.
I'll DM him, bro. I'll get to the bottom of this. I'll get to the bottom of this. We'll do a Faded Town after hours.
Oh, with him?
Yo, I talked.
That's what I'm talking. We do a audio only Q&A with
Faded Town after dark, bro.
There we go. That's hilarious. So, it's your second year. I don't know. Carl said like you're a genius, or like you could have went anywhere. Is that a thing?
No. You got the wrong person on the podcast. You want Emery Taylor if you want.
I had Emery Taylor. He's been on every podcast.
Yeah. Or Isaiah, the Stanford student. You gotta get him.
We're working on it.
We'll work on that. We'll have our people call his people. He's a hard guy to reach.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
We got you, Tate.
That's why he hasn't been to any events this season. He's too busy with his hard Stanford.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Probably, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Right.
I mean, it's no Sewanee, but.
Yeah, no Sewanee, for sure.
Yeah.
We all know
Tate,
that.
I gotta ask you a question, Tate. How does it feel to be the first guest on the new Faded Town?
Yeah, it's like
man.
season 2. And
that's high fucking praise.
It feels good. Well, it feels good to be here with the first episode with Carl, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
That's the.
It might be the. I mean, no.
Hey, I'm doing good so far. Okay.
Oh yeah. Who's doing the judgment here?
The only season 2 episode.
Yeah, it's over. Canceled after this.
No, we're not getting canceled, bro. We have 10. This is the pilot. We have
10 episodes for sure.
We're good. Yeah, we have a 10 package.
So if I don't draw in any listeners, you guys got 9 more episodes.
Who
will join an audience.
I got 9 more shots at it.
There are some people who don't pull anyone, but.
Well,
hey, the stats don't lie. That's all I'm saying. The stats don't lie.
Men lie, women lie. Tate doesn't.
Yeah, Tate's never lied in his life.
What does that make me?
Alien. Probably alien.
Math being.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you're a student. Do you work or just straight student?
I work in the summer.
Okay. I
have a very part-time job. I work in the library a little bit, but it's just a few hours a week.
Yeah, but you're just school headstrong, right? That's smart. Yeah.
That's probably a part-time job on its own too.
That's pretty.
Actually, a pretty big.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
As fun as that chat is, it gets a little. The stuff that comes out of it, I'm like,
yeah.
Hey man, I know I'm in the chat. I might not be doing a lot, but
bro, I don't do
there's
shit.
There's some stuff that goes on in there that there are people in there that get shit done. All right, I took a picture at a regional a couple times. All right.
There you go. That's
all I do is post on my record at events. I'm like, yo, 101, 201.
I go in the chat and go, wait, what just happened? Someone tell me. I just read this and I don't want to read it. Someone tell me.
Yeah. Someone will read
Tate's like, you gotta go back up and read it. I'm not doing that shit. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. That's exactly how it is.
I don't even know who's who in the chat anymore because Kieran.
Everyone's Eric.
Kieran messed the whole thing up.
Oh, Eric.
I changed mine.
is that when I get in the chat and it says like 100 missed messages, someone leaked.
Yep.
Someone leaked, and I'm not reading it.
Yep.
I need the summary right now in like 3 sentences.
I love when there's 100 messages. I know something just went down.
Some shit went down. There's some drama. Check Verbank. Check.
Yep.
Ask around. I actually do feel really guilty about that though. I've been in the group for a year and I made 1 graphic and it sucked. It was not good. It was not good.
I don't know. We'll have to get you working on some more stuff then, Carl.
Yeah, Carl.
Yeah, I'll do PR. It's fine.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll get the pokestats YouTube channel going.
Oh. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just playing. We don't want to do that.
We had that idea. I don't even remember who it was that wanted to start that with me. Probably like 2 years ago at this point. It never went in.
Yeah, YouTube's a different monster.
YouTube is whack.
So, how did you get into the game? Like, why Pokemon?
Yeah. So I knew you guys were gonna ask me this, and I had to,
you had to think about it.
Like, how long ago even was that at this point? So I remember the first tournament I really remember watching was 2016 Worlds. Of course, the Mega Audino Worlds. So I think it was probably to be honest, I don't remember. I remember that I bought a pack. I was at like Target or some shit, you know.
That's cute.
That's where it all starts.
That's so cute.
I bought like one pack, and I don't remember if it was before or after watching Worlds, but obviously I collected, you know, just like everyone collected when they were in 3rd grade or whatever.
Yeah.
You pulled some king shit, bro. I already know.
I had no idea how to play the game, but they were like, "Oh, this card's shiny and has 300 HP. Like that seems cool, right?" So, but yeah, definitely I was out of it for several years, and then I guess that would have been my junior year of high school. I guess junior year would have been when that Worlds was. I don't even remember. But yeah, I remember watching that Worlds and being like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like maybe I could get back into this game. And I also remember that one pack that I bought around that time.
Here it comes.
Just to kind of see where the game was at. And it had the Dual Brains Magnezone in it. And I was like, oh, that card's really cool. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes
sense.
sense.
He took it to Dallas. Then he took it to Dallas 2018, ran Zorak, Magnezone, and went 3-4 drop.
Did you?
Like everyone else did.
I brought to Dallas. I brought Charizard. the Burning Blade. I played on last year Lucario.
That was the one that Riley won, right? Dallas.
Yeah, that's the one where we played Dual Brains, Magnezone, and Zoroark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that region was wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was huge.
So.
But,
you go.
Is that like your card now, Tate? Like, is that like, do you try to build all decks with that card, or like?
Surprisingly, no. That's the only significant. Good. I mean, it's a cool card, right? But I don't know. That's just the one I remember being like when I was the first time I ever bought cards in 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you have any cards when you were like a small child?
I don't remember like specifically. I definitely had them a lot.
You had them?
I had them for sure. Yeah, like everyone at my school was collecting. Yeah.
Really?
That was just the thing, right? Yeah, everyone had Pokemon.
Hell yeah! Hold on.
This would have been like you would have been like 6 years old in like 2014, right? Like that's why.
I'm a 2000 baby. I'm a millennium baby.
Ooh, look what we got here, boys. Got dusted off.
What do we got?
Dual
Brains?
We keep that shit. We keep that shit.
Keep that thing on me, boy. I keep that thing on me.
Pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. We keep that shit just in this one binder.
That's cool.
We had that for like 5 years or something. I was like, when I got back in the game, I was like, I'm just going to buy that. And then I bought that. And then I was like, what else is there? And then I went to a card store. And, like, I seen EXs. I was like, dude, these cards look way better.
It is.
And then it was over then.
No, I just remember Ancient Mew being, like, the shit when I was in 3rd grade or whatever. That was the card everyone wanted. And so, actually, there were some people at my fucking elementary school that were, like, trying to convince everyone that, so I grew up in Maine. I'm from Maine.
Okay.
Some guy was trying to convince us that, like, all the ancient Mews in the world were in Maine or something, and they were like, in our hometown has like all the ancient news, and then there's like 2 other guys, and name all of them. They're all here, and I guess everyone believed him.
That's great.
It's like some whack ass Yu-Gi-Oh adaptation where there's like 4 blue eyes,
Right?
and then one motherfucker has all of them. You know,
Right? It's like.
But this guy was like, yeah, there's like 10 of them in existence, which is not true at all. It's like not that rare of a card. It's like they're all in Maine, I swear.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I heard it.
So you pulled dual brains, and
Yes.
you're like,
that
how do you get into competitive at that point? Like,
yeah, that was just the first time I remember like buying
Yeah.
cards or owning cards again after the initial, elementary school collecting thing. But I think after watching that Worlds, I tried, looking into some more resources, try to find out like, all right, wouldn't it be cool if I could be at Worlds someday? Like
Right.
that seems pretty cool, right? So how do I get there, right? And at that point, there was a lot less resources
Pay a lot of
available,
money.
right? It's been, we can talk about this later, but it's been
Yeah.
a huge jump in those 3 or 4 years in terms of content that's available. But actually, one of the first content creators that I came across who was doing stuff at that time was Yellow Swallow.
Yellow Swallow, the homie.
Actually, a lot of times I actually I have his mat. I got the Yellow Swallow mat, and I
That's
still
what's
do the events.
I would too. Let me get one of those.
Because I feel like I kind of owe it to him in terms of, he might not be the foremost like top player or anything. His decks were definitely good enough at the time that it was, definitely a good jump start into competitive stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm actually still grateful to him for that,
Right.
and I appreciate his content for sure. But he was probably the first guy that I remember. I remember Dark Integral too, but I think even then I knew that was not.
Bro,
No.
that was the first shit I watched.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this man Donald knows his shit.
Dude, I watched fucking
Oh man.
Puka.
Oh wow. Damn,
Yeah.
you took the master class.
Yeah, I took the master class.
Dang.
He
Like,
must have been
dude,
a little bit
when-
before my time.
Yeah, he was right before your time.
He was pretty much, yeah, he started his job with Pokemon.
Yeah, I was like,
before I got into
yeah,
the
right
game.
before you got. I remember when he shut down his YouTube channel. It was a big deal. It was like, what am I gonna watch now? Like,
Yeah.
everyone else is trash. But then
It was
it was fun. Like those little things, like they stick with you. You're like, all right, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's like, okay, I'm gonna learn to play this game, and I'm gonna learn without having to learn from someone. Like, you don't want to. That's like there's like a awkwardness when you don't know how to play a game, and like, so you're like, I'm gonna go YouTube. You go on YouTube, you figure it out, and like there's a connection with that person, even though like you've never talked to them. Yeah.
Sure.
So Yellow Swallow gets you in the game.
I guess that was kind of my intro. I started, building some decks. I bought some cards. There was nothing too. I was kind of building those budget decks, I guess, at that point. Maybe stuff like tier 3 decks that was, kind of decent, but just what I could afford, really.
Right.
And I remember, so that was actually that season after the Mega Audino Worlds was the first year that they started doing the League Cup system, right? No more cities, no more states. It was cups and challenges for the first time. So I kind of started getting right into that, I guess. Like my first League Cup was pretty early in that season, and it was the first season that had cups. And so I'll give the story of that because it's pretty funny. So the first deck that I made was Breakpoint Garchomp.
Okay.
And what that did was, I'm not going to remember the exact numbers, but it was like the first attack was like 1 fighting, 60, and attach an energy from discard or something. And then the second attack was 2 fightings, and I think it did 80, and then it did another 80 if the defending Pokemon was a EX.
Yes.
So I just was like, well, and Garchomp's one of my favorite Pokemon. For that, that's kind of why I built that deck. Was like, yeah, this Garchomp's like kind of good, maybe, and it's my favorite Pokemon or one of them, so I'll just build that deck. And I built it with the Talonflame that people used to play in Greninja, where you could start it.
Mm-hmm.
Had some other like shit in there. We had Strong Energy and Standard, so that was pretty good. So I show up to this League Cup. It was in New Hampshire somewhere. I don't remember where. There's probably about 20 masters probably. It's pretty small. And I show up, and the whole room just about is Mega Mewtwo and Turbo Dark.
Oh.
So I'm sitting here with my like shitty like deck that I made a couple weeks ago that's like not meta at all. The Garchomp deck, and I hit like 2 Turbo Darks and 2 Mega Mewtwo's, and I think I won 2 of those games. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I literally had no idea what I was doing, and these dark players are like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
right?
I'm like attach like 1 energy and do like 200 damage to their Darkrai or whatever. And the other thing, this is actually really funny, because of this podcast. I played Faded Town.
Ah, what a got him.
Hey.
So I hit like this Mewtwo player.
Crush the Mewtwo's.
Yeah, so I think I hit for 200. He retreats, and then I like hit another Mewtwo for 200. He retreats, and then I go like Faded Town, and he just scoops. He's like, "What the fuck are you playing, bro?" So I didn't make cut at the cup, but I think I went 2 and 3, which was hilarious. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing at that point. I just got super lucky. And then the other deck I played against was like the Garbodor, Jolteon Glaceon like lock deck. So he would just like Glaceon me, and I would just sit there and like pass.
I have no out to that,
bro. I was like, I know. But that was pretty funny. So that was like actually a really fun first tournament for me. So I definitely remember that, playing the Garchomp deck, getting lucky with the matchups.
That's what's up.
And then after that, I realized like, all right, that deck was fun. It won me a few games, but it's not gonna, get me to that next level. So I started kind of building meta decks after that, I guess.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long after that the idea for pokestats kind of started to come about.
Okay.
Pretty early in that season, I remember, because that's the oldest data we have on the site right now that I have like, the full data pages for, going back to that 2016 to 17 season. And we have some older data, but it's mostly just for old worlds and stuff that I had, readily available data from other sources. But yeah, like 2016 to 17 season was kind of when I was jumping into competitive and starting out with pokestats.
I like it. It's insane where it's gone. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Let's see, sure. Like, so you're sitting there, you're at home, and you realize there's, like, you can't find information of the shit you want, and is that how basically pokestats comes, or what?
So what we had at that point, basically, 6 prizes was definitely there. Probably like the #1 article site for sure. I mean, no one else is really even doing that.
Was there Beach? I think
maybe 6 prizes existed. I don't even know if Beach was at that point. I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I think Beach was just forums.
Yeah.
I think the article program's more recent. And then so the one other thing that we had was the Charizard Lounge.
Yes.
So I was actually really into that. I was a big fan of Wamble and the stuff that he did. Because that was really the first stuff I ever found that was any kind of data or statistics related to competitive. It was pretty basic stuff. It's just like, regional top 32 standings, and then he'd have like, a pie chart of the meta or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was definitely more than, anybody else had going on. And it was really interesting to see the data presented in that way, just like, here's all the decks that did well and in what, proportions, like this one did the best or had the biggest showing. And so I started thinking about that a little bit, and was like, yeah, I could definitely like do more with this stuff, like here's your basic standings and pie chart, but like what's some other stats that would be useful to a competitive player, right? And I didn't have any presumptions that I was like anything of a good player at that point at all. Like I still had I was doing at tournaments and stuff. But I was, even for myself, I was just like, it would be really useful just for me to like see that data and maybe have a better idea of like how the format kind of evolves, or how to predict meta games and like make deck choices for events and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of the first like idea that I had. But the Charizard Lounge was definitely, I have to credit Wambolt a lot.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
So you go and you start doing this solo, right? You're solo.
Yeah, it was just me on my shitty laptop. I'm sitting there putting in standings or whatever, doing some pie charts and stuff of the meta. I don't even remember what stats I had back then. I probably had like, I mean, we didn't have any RK9 or anything.
No.
So there was no way to find out like, day 2 win rates or all that kind of stuff that we're doing now.
Right.
It was really just pretty basic metagame breakdown stuff.
I just remember I get on Twitter and like pokestats, so it just pops up on it. I'm like, all right, the name is fucking amazing. Like that should just right.
How was that not taken?
So
fucking genius.
A bunch of people. Let's clear this up right now. There's a bunch of people that think it's PTCG stats. Like they
Absolutely
say
not.
It's not. That's trash. No one says it that way.
What is this, amateur hour? No, we got the real deal.
So, I mean, the only reason the website is PTCG Stats is because Pokestats was taken. The domain was taken.com.
Okay.
So, couldn't have that.
What kind of bullshit?
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, because on Twitter I seen it said Pokestats. I'm like, that's useful. That has to be useful. I click on it. I was like, it's fucking useful.
Yeah.
I remember too. I think it was Ryan Allred who said like on Facebook was like, "Yo, your logo is like sick, bro," or something like that. I think that's who it was Allred, who was like, "Your logo looks like you should be like a verified account or something like that."
It was good. I was like, I remember seeing it, and I was like, yeah, I probably could use that. I don't know who that is, but I could probably use that.
I should browse.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's good shit.
I guess I started. I made the website and then I made the Twitter pretty soon after. It was early in that 2016 to 17 season. So those first few regionals of that season, I kind of started tweeting out the metagame breakdown and stuff like that, or just random other, not even really stats, but just kind of factoids that I found. Like, oh, this is Igor Costa's 3rd regional top 8 in the past 3 years, or whatever it was.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right, catch you later, bro.
Gotcha. See ya. All right, now that Carl's gone,
we can actually have a real podcast.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
All right.
And that stupid picture that we put up there now.
Now that we've lured Carl away, the hot wings,
right? Hot wings and some girl.
Hot wings. There's 50 sauces, yeah, and some girl. I mean, what more could you want? He's got a girl and he's got like 50 sauces on hot wings.
You have to leave a podcast early if you do that. Obviously.
Yeah.
So where were we? You get the Pokestats. You start posting on Twitter, right?
Yeah. So it's still really rudimentary, like really shitty graphics, my graphics were decent at that point. They're not where they are now though. The stats were all really basic. The website was getting like negative page views probably.
Right.
So I'm trying to remember because there was definitely some players that I was probably just following every Pokemon account left and right, and that's probably the only way that people even noticed me. But some of the people that I remember reaching out to me first, Eric Gansman was one, which is pretty funny because he has now quit Pokemon to spend his life telling people about how he quit Pokemon. But he was definitely a big he was someone that reached out to me early and was like, "Yo, this Pokestat stuff is really cool. I really appreciate what you're doing." Sam Chen was another guy that was really
he's a numbers guy.
Really nice to me. Yeah, I mean, Sam Chen's I still haven't met him in real life.
Really?
Actually.
Great guy.
Yeah, but I clearly can tell that he's a great guy just from everyone else in the community talks about him. But he messaged the Pokestats account and was like, "Yo, this stuff's really cool." And then the one other guy I remember early on was Jacob Van Wagner, who was the 2015 world champion, who hasn't been playing a ton in the past few years, but he was like, I actually have, if you go to the site right now, I have the quote that he sent me still there on the site in the sidebar. The quote is that the thing that he told me was like, "This is one of the best things I've ever seen for this game and this community, and this is what this is something that this game has really needed." So that meant a ton to me from coming from the world champion, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's right.
Yeah, I guess that was the common consensus. Yeah, he wasn't the only one that was like, "Yo, this stuff's really really useful."
If you I might just stretch your ego a little bit, but if Pokemon blows up. Like, if it ever gets where everyone wants it to be, you have to look back and go, Pokestats helped. Pokestats made a huge effort towards moving in that direction. Cause
I mean, you can say that. I can't say it hasn't been part of it for sure. I'm always hesitant to take too much credit from, you know, everyone else that's done stuff. I mean, the Charizard Lounge obviously is like the first person to really get to that,
yeah. It's just then, like Limitless,
Yeah, Limitless actually came about in the same year as Pokestats. We started at almost the same. I guess it was me and Robin Schultz kind of had the same idea at the same time, completely independently.
Right.
Like, you know, we're gonna have all the tournament data, you know, on this one site, and have some other stats and content and stuff. So definitely, like, and I've talked about this every time that I've gone on a podcast or anything, and people ask me about Limitless, is that, like, I 100% love Limitless and everything that they do, and I don't consider them like any kind of rival stats or anything. There's nothing like Robin and I like message each other decks, you know, for if we're missing decks for day 2 or whatever all the time and stuff like that. So I like completely appreciate Limitless, and we do some different things that, like, you know, keeps it different enough that it's worthwhile to, you know, be following both and stuff.
Agreed. I see, like, that's like the stuff Limitless and Pokestats and Arcanine Labs, like these, that's just like where you need it to be. Like, you have these types of websites have to be made to show that, like, people care. They want to know why these decks are good and what's winning and how this is happening, and then, like, it becomes competitive. Like, like, sure. There's like proof. There's proof that people want this content. They want to know how to win. Like, a YouTube channel is cool. People watch it, it's cool. But when you get a website that puts out all these stats and it gets so much praise from the community, like, it shows that, like, people want this information. They want to use it to get better at this game, you know? Yeah.
And I've at this point, you know, it's kind of evolved a little bit past simply the stats. I mean, that's still a big part of what we do. But some of like my most, I guess, most appreciated content, I guess, is like when I tweet out, you know, the top 8 graphics and stuff and the winners graphics.
Yes.
For regionals and stuff. I tweet that out, you know, it's got like a couple hundred retweets within a couple hours.
Everybody loves that shit.
So I've been trying to do kind of, in addition to just the hard, you know, stat stuff, also just kind of get into more like journalism and that kind of stuff, because that is really important for the game too. Like, you gotta have the stats, right? But you gotta also have, like,
live updates. Like, you give that live update. People are waiting. Like, what's top 8? Check Pokestats. Check Pokestats. Twitter.
Like, people want to know, like, what's doing well. Like, obviously we have streams at a lot of events now, but we can't show every match on stream. We can't show every player that everyone wants to watch on stream. So I've been trying to do a lot of stuff on Pokestats with, like, here's what, you know, the well-known players are all playing today. Here's the decks that are at the top tables and kind of what the whole room looks like. I try to get a bunch of sources, you know, just friends and people that I know going to every event, that, you know, to message me, like, what's doing well, and then I share that on Twitter or on the website or whatever, and people really seem to appreciate that. And then I try to also, and I want to be doing more of this season, doing kind of event recap stuff, kind of some more long form content, like writing, you know, about the build up to an event and then what happened at the event, and then kind of using the data to break down, you know, why exactly the metagame looked like this and why did these decks do well. Like, I'm actually in the process of writing, right now I'm doing a little recap of Richmond regionals.
Okay.
I'll have it out in time for Portland. But I think it'd be really cool to kind of see, because we didn't have an expanded event in so long, right, leading up to Richmond, and then kind of looking at how the meta shaped up with those 2 new sets, and then why did like Rowlet Eggs do so well? It got 9 day 2 spots and won the whole thing. Why did Archie's flop? And for that matter, Mew Mew actually flopped pretty hard as well, which was really interesting to me.
I agree.
of course, we have Portland coming up in just a few days in the same format. So it'll be really interesting to see like what happens there. You know, does Rowleg get played again? Does it do well again? Do people hard counter it? Do people just like keep playing Archies and Mew despite them, performing at Richmond? Yeah,
I don't know.
So that kind of stuff is really interesting to me. Like, how can I use the data and the stats to kind of produce this more long form content, and even down to stuff like just interviewing players and.
You want to get into that? I like that.
Some more of that content. Like, I definitely want to do some more interviews and some more articles and stuff this season, recapping events and just breaking down stuff. Yeah,
that's what's up. Like, what's the end goal here? Is there an end goal? Do you want to make money off this? Is there a bright future you see where pokestats is something like bigger than just a Twitter or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people have asked me this, if it's ever something I've really thought about monetizing, and I really have no desire to make pokestats into like a paywall content kind of deal. And I completely am in favor of paywall sites, like article sites and stuff. It's not anything like that. I totally appreciate like paywall content, but it's just that I feel like the data and the stat stuff is kind of stuff that almost anyone could do, right? And it's just like I happen to be the person that's doing it, but I feel like it's kind of a resource that should be available to anyone, and that if you wanted to take the time and do all this stuff, you could do it.
Right.
Which maybe is underselling myself a little.
Definitely.
But you can see what I'm saying, where it's kind of like I feel like they should be out there and available to everyone.
Yeah.
Just like this is, and just like Arcanine Labs, shares the deck lists and the standings and all that stuff for everyone, and Limitless has all their data available for everyone. So I think Pokestats, I want to be the same way. And even if we do start, what I want to do this season, branching out into more of that long form article content, not necessarily like other article sites like deck profiles and stuff, but more just kind of breaking down events and interviewing players and stuff. Mm-hmm. Even that stuff is all going to be just free, available for everyone to read. Because I think, I just think it's the kind of stuff that should be available to everyone in this community, like, so that everyone can.
It's just like I get it. It's like a oversee of what the event was like and why it was this way, and like people already lived the event. You don't think they should have to pay to see it on paper, basically.
Yeah,
but
I've never really been interested in monetizing. It's kind of just a labor of love, and everyone else. And you can attest to this because you're in the chat, but like everyone that's there is just like always happy to help out with like I'll be like, yo, can you guys like fill in these standings, or you guys do one of these graphics or whatever, and everyone's just happy to do it because they just want to help out with the Pokestats experience.
It's true. It's like I think everyone just appreciates that type of content, like especially since it's free and it's out there, and it's like we're doing it, and like I think that's basically all it is like everyone knows that content is good, and like we're not doing it for money, but is there just a day where you're just done? Like, are you?
I don't know. I mean, definitely not in sight at this point.
Okay.
I haven't had any thoughts about like Pokestats is coming to its end, or we're still going strong, and if anything, trying to go even stronger this season, like I talked about, how all this new content that we want to do, and I've been adding people consistently to the team, more correspondents from different regions of the world, because I realized we don't want to focus too much on just North America. There's plenty of other continents that have.
That's one thing. It is a global.
They're super underrated, right? Like people don't know, but so I'm definitely trying to kind of bring more attention to that, and by kind of hiring people from different regions, different skill sets. Like we have some people that are really good with coding and programming and stuff.
We do, which is nuts. Sounds like these guys are getting down.
Yeah, and then so we had Rukan. Obviously, Rukan Shao is on hiatus this season. He's not playing this season, but last year he was like really helpful in helping with all the stat stuff, the coding stuff, the math stuff. We have Luke Morsa. We just have like all Jeremy Lim, Jared Grimes, all these people that are like really helpful with producing all this stuff that I could not have done all by myself. All of the I'm not a huge coding, programming, computer-y kind of guy. Like I can do the stats, I guess, but coding these things that some of these guys have done, like Jared's put together a really beautiful.
I see that.
Yeah, for the day 2 like metagame breakdown. So we have, if you go to some of our more recent data pages, for those of you who don't know, right. We have like this big pie chart of the day 2 metagame, right, which we've always had. But now, thanks to what Jared's done, you can actually click on each segment of the pie chart, and it will pull up that deck, and it will pull up all of the matchups. So you can literally see like every
what he played,
every win rate of every deck. Yeah, so
that's insane. Like
it's really cool.
Yeah, when that first came up in the chat, I clicked on it, I checked it out. I was like, this is next level shit. Like this is.
It's one of my favorite things on the site, but it's really just another thing that kind of goes to show about how I'm never comfortable taking too much credit for everything that goes on with pokestats, because obviously that's not something that existed when it was just me running the site. That's not something that happened until I brought in Rukan and Luke and Jared and all these people, and that's also not something that even with those coding skills, still not something that we could have done without RK9 Labs, because that's where we get the data from. Jared's algorithm actually just pulls the data right out of RK9 and puts it into his, program.
That's so dope.
Yeah. So, but the fact that we have that now, and we literally just know every single deck that made day 2, and we know what all of their opponents were and all of those matchups. There's just so much data that's out there now.
It's just. And like everything's working together, which is like
right, exactly, and it's really cool to see that. I mean,
I agree.
I don't know. I'm not active in too many like game communities or TCGs or anything outside of Pokemon, so I don't really know what goes on in other communities. But it's really cool to see that in Pokemon, where it's kind of just like everyone's mostly willing to help each other out. At least in terms of this stuff, Pokestats, Limitless, RK9.
Yeah, it feels like a.
It's
like a. Organism almost, yeah.
Well, I've definitely had article sites at times reach out to just kind of ask if they can incorporate some like pokestats data and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, sure, like this stuff's all here for the taking. Like that's why I made this website, is for people to use to get better at the game.
Like Bro's making, what is it, fucking
Liquipedia.
Well, yeah, Liquipedia, and he said.
Yeah, so that's actually another thing I'm really excited about, and I've helped him out a little with that.
Yeah, he said he gave you a lot of credit, actually.
He's actually put in a ton of effort with that. I mean, I know he's been like coding late into the night on that thing, and so Liquipedia is kind of just a big the Wikipedia of gaming, I guess, right? It's like there's one for Overwatch, there's one for League, there's one for whatever it might be, and now we're gonna have one for Pokemon TCG, which is really exciting. I think, like, I agree. For a player to kind of pull up their Wikipedia page. I mean, we have Limitless, so that it's not quite like a novel thing, but for a player to go and see themselves on Wikipedia is kind of gonna be like, oh wow, I made it. Like, we're moving a little bit closer to maybe that true esport status, which I know is where Rahul wants to get eventually. He's like a really big proponent of that.
Yes,
like,
he is.
We need to get to esports. So
he is, and we argue about that a lot.
Yes, we definitely do. I had this argument on a couple of podcasts.
Me too.
Yeah.
I just don't see it, to be honest.
There's some people that are like, oh yeah, we're getting to esports, we're gonna get there. Some people are like, no, we're never gonna get there. The game's just not gonna be big enough. There's not enough people that play, and I don't know. I mean, I truly don't know. I don't see it happening like right now, but I don't want to completely rule out the possibility we could kind of be up there, at least like with Magic, in terms of kind of being viewed as a more legitimate esport. Like, I think if we got to where Magic was, that would be huge.
I think what it all comes down to, like, we could be there in an instant. It just, Pokemon says we're there. Like, Pokemon just takes this money and goes, huh!
Well,
we're there.
I have to be careful about this because I don't know how much I can leak, but I know there's some stuff in the works for this season.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that too.
down that path.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, maybe we are getting there. But
so I don't think I can leak too much, but I think for anyone listening, I would pay close attention to what TPCI is doing for the rest of the season, because you're going to see some interesting stuff, I think.
I agree. I think, and like that's the whole time, like for the last 2-3 years, I've had this conversation about esports and let's make it this way. And I'm like, nothing you do, like you can't do anything. Pokemon has to back it. There's like, if you look at everything, I don't know if you were a League of Legends fan or whatever, but
not really.
I was a League of Legends fan. I played from like beta basically, and the second season 1 ended, Riot Games went, we're all in. They threw $2 million prize pool at Worlds, and they threw all these qualifiers. They're like, we're taking all our money, we're throwing it at it, and boom, that's how it works. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you could say, whatever you want to say. You can create teams, you can do whatever you want. Nothing matters if Pokemon doesn't want it to happen. So that's all it takes. It literally takes Pokemon Go. We're an esport, and then you become an esport. That's how I feel. And I think, like, even with the big announcements with Sword and Shield, where they're cutting out all the bullshit for competitive, like, actually battling VGC,
which is good to see.
It's great. Like, I had this discussion with Sam Chen when he was on the podcast, and he's like, the only way VGC becomes big is if you can go in and you pick your Pokemon and you battle. All the other shit has to get cut out. It has to, because it shuts down the game.
Right.
And I agree.
Yeah. That's good to see. I do agree with you. I think we need that incentive from Pokemon. I know Luke Morsa, who works with me on pokestats, has been like a big advocate for fixing PTCGO. Like he actually, I think he has a Hey Fonte post out now, kind of talking about this. How, we need like a ranked system. We need a ranked lab and tournaments and stuff for PTCGO. Obviously, fix all the bugs. Mm-hmm. Just kind of make a more or a better like user.
The client's got to go. The client's got to go. We gotta revamp it all.
And I can tell. And I've heard people say like, I would play this game so much more if we fix PTCGO and kind of put that ranked system into it. And I would be a huge fan of that too. As someone who doesn't get to go to a ton of tournaments, like if I could kind of have that online experience to kind of prove myself a little bit more, I think would be like huge for me and other people in my situation.
I agree. I think again, we had this discussion with Sam, and he pretty much said the only way TCG ever becomes huge is if it goes straight to PC or whatever you want to put it on, because like we can have the cards, that's fine. We can still have those events. But to get the masses to these events, to have a 10,000 person tournament or whatever, it's so much easier if it's on your computer. Like,
man, 1,000 person tournament, that would be
insane. Oh, it'd be a Sats nightmare. Could you imagine that? Holy God.
That'd be fun.
It's all online. Actually, it might not. It might be so easy, actually, because if it's online, everything just...
That is true. That's the other thing, yeah.
It might just be super easy then. Who knows? But it's like... Again, it's just... Pokemon has to make that decision. And I think... I personally think it's not going to happen for TCG. I really think they want to push the VGC. Because, like... They put so much effort into VGC where the games are looking amazing. Like, this new game coming out looks amazing. They want people to play it. And, I mean, if you look at... when I first started playing TCG, it blew my fucking mind that you have 500, 600, 800 people playing TCG, and you have 100 playing VGC. And I'm like, right. What the fuck? I used to love VGC. I played that. I was like, this is sick. Like, battling's so cool. And then I was like, it's got to be big. No. But then I think back at what I had to do to make one team. I was like, I have to breed 9 million eggs. I have to EV stats or whatever I was doing. EV train, IVs. Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. No one wants to do that. And then you get all these videos of the world champion's a cheater for game sharking his thing. It's like, he's not a cheater. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, all right, maybe he's a cheater, but that didn't give him an advantage when he was battling. Like, he won the game straight, whatever, who cares? And, like, I think even Pokemon knew. Like, Pokemon's not stupid.
Yeah.
You didn't get a fucking shiny, a 1 in a billion shiny whatever with perfect stats. Like, we all know you didn't do that, but we don't care. Because, like, you battled, and, like, it didn't affect the battle. Yeah. And, like, and I think they're just, like, I think they're going all in on the VGC. I hope TCG, like, obviously I just play TCG now, so until I get my invite, then I'm going to get my invite in VGC too. But I'm going to win Worlds at both. I don't know.
A super cool accomplishment.
That would be. But I want to try. I think the new game looks sick. I got to get my invite in. I'll get my invite this weekend when I win.
When you win Portland.
Like,
Spirit.
Hey, just so everyone knows, keep playing. Yeah. Just keep playing the meta decks, and I'll take the tournament. That's fine. All right, guys. Don't go out there with some stupid shit. I don't want to see Rotoms. I don't want to see what other stupid shit you've come up with. Keep your Plume decks. Keep your Turbo Darks. Keep your Zoroark decks. Those are fine. You could win with those, all right? But, yeah. So, that's pretty much pokestats, right? And then, like, so you got all these people on board. You got everyone on board. I seen that tweet. I messaged you right away. Like, I didn't know exactly what I could do to help or anything, but
people just wanted the help.
Exactly. I was like,
that's really what matters. I mean, I've we've got probably 15, 20 people in that chat now, and about half of them coming in like didn't know too much about stats or coding or graphic design or any of that stuff that we needed. But I was able to teach them pretty easily, and you know they're important pieces of pokestats now. And so really it was just like the fact that people wanted to help out with this was really meaningful, honestly. It's like people appreciate the stuff that I used to do all by myself, and now people were kind of invested enough in the success of it that when I could no longer do everything myself, they were like, yeah, let me help out and let's keep this going and let's make it even better. So that's been really cool to see.
So the game plan is just keep adding content.
Keep going, yeah.
Keep going. Maybe one day we get tired of it and we quit, but for now we're killing it. And with you in school, you got a team now. Like, you went from a one-man army to a fucking monster now. To be honest, that chat's full of monsters.
It's been really cool. And like it's definitely been a jumping off point for me in terms of competitive play as well, just because of like all of the connections I've made from doing this, you know, just from starting out, how I mentioned, you know, Eric and Sam and Jacob and all these other people that messaged me way back when, and, you know, all these players who are so much better than me, who have helped, you know, send me data, everything from League Cup data to like regional top 8 stuff, keeping me updated and just like helping me out with anything that I ask. Like we do have, I mean, we have a pretty good community, I would say, in terms of, I mean, I know it's not, nothing is ever that clear cut, but in terms of like just people who have been friendly and helpful, and especially out of, you know, all of those well-known, those kind of big name players, everyone's just super nice and helpful.
So people you interact with are good,
I'm not painting with a wide brush or anything.
Right.
There's a lot of shit that goes on in this community that's toxic for sure. I've been there. I won't get into that, but there's definitely bad stuff that goes on, but there's also just a lot of good people that I've met from Pokemon, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And I'm really grateful for, I mean, this is I went to my first regional in forever. I went to Knoxville a couple weeks ago and met a lot of people that I only knew from online in real life for the first time, and they were just all super friendly. and that was really cool. You know, they were just like, and I was talking to some people like, yeah, I need to start getting out to some more tournaments, you know, getting some results in there. Like I want to be the pokestats guy, obviously, but I also want to be.
I was gonna ask you about that.
I want to be out there day 2 and top 8 and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a goal? Is that?
It's definitely a goal
for this year, or is it?
So maybe not quite this year, but definitely moving forward. I mean, I'm definitely trying to get to more this season.
Anything planned?
Yeah. I think I should be in Dallas,
Okay.
Dallas, Albany, and then I think Charlotte for me.
Okay.
I probably want to go to NAIC as well if I can.
NAIC. If you don't go to anything,
Well,
if you can't go to NAIC.
Yeah, so that might mean cutting.
Oh.
But I do want to go to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to be playing more. I mean, so a big thing for me is that right now I don't have one back in Maine, but it's shared with my brother, so I couldn't bring it.
Okay.
So that makes it really hard to go to cups and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. But I should hopefully at some point soon I'll get my own, and then I'll be able to go to more cups and drive to regionals and stuff, rather than either having to fly or having to have other people drive me.
Right.
But yeah, I want to be out there like playing more and learning more about the game. I've definitely had the opportunity to test online with a lot of good players, and that's been really helpful.
That's like your first goal when you first started playing. You wanted to be good, right?
Yeah.
And then pokestats came, and you're focused on that. But at the end of the day, you came to this game to play, and you want to be good. Yeah. I get it.
Pokestats was an offshoot of that, of me wanting to be good, learn more about the game, and succeed really. And then pokestats is kind of a tool for, you know, originally for myself and now for the community as a whole, because of, you know, the outreach that it has. I just want it to be a tool that's there for everyone.
I get that.
But like I said, you know, I want to be the pokestats guy, but I also want to at some point get there to that, you know, top player status at some point. And I've been practicing pretty hard. I do play a lot of PTCO, so I may not be going to every tournament, but I'm definitely there, you know, grinding.
Putting the work in.
Yeah, it's just really cool to, you know, kind of have that interaction.
I think every like content creator is like that. Like, you see it, you're like.
I think you gotta obviously, to do content creation on the scale of, you know, what some of these guys are doing, Azul, Tablemon, Omnipoke, just to throw at a few. You gotta love the game, obviously, but you know, one thing that makes the game fun is when you do well, right? That's true of any game. So I think like it's not a coincidence that Andrew Mahone's another big one with Tricky Jim. All these people like are all really good players first and foremost, and their content is also great, and it follows from them being a good player.
Mm-hmm. I remember we started Soccer Scoop and we put out a video every day, and like it just got stupid. I was just like, I don't even like this, you know. I don't. Yeah. I'm just doing this because we committed to this. Yeah. And I was like,
I always want to make sure, like with my content, that it's all meaningful. It's all stuff that people actually like want to look at.
That's why I started this podcast. I was like, I don't want to play PTCGO anymore. And if I do play PTCGO, I don't want to film it. That stuff is not fun to me. I don't understand how people watch it. I want to do something that I think people will like and I enjoy doing at the end of the day. So then I started this, and I'm like, and then people loved it. They're like, oh, you just see a different inside of stuff. But at the end of the day, I want to be a top player as well. You know, I'm with you on that. I'm like, this is all cool, but it'd be a lot more cool if I'm winning and I could talk shit the whole time I'm on this podcast.
I feel you. Yeah, I'm trying. Like I've just been, you know, practicing a lot. Like my time will come eventually.
Right.
I'll get to more tournaments. I'll get more practice. I'll just keep testing, and I'm confident that I'll get there. And I was after Knoxville, on the way back from Knoxville, I was talking to Aaron Palmer, who drove me, and she was like, "It kind of sucks that everyone in the community knows who we are, but it's not because we're good players." So we kind of looked at each other, and we were like, "All right, this season we're gonna get good, right? Like we're gonna put in all that practice and." We're going to get some results up there. So people are going to like not just know us for our content and our dumb Twitter memes and shit, but also we're going to day 2 some regionals. So that just like and I was talking to some other, like Emery Taylor's another friend in the community that's been like really supportive of me. Like, you're gonna get there, bro. Like, just keep testing, keep going to stuff. And but I really can't like emphasize enough how many players have been just really supportive of like helping me out with stuff with pokestats, and just like I've really made some good friends from this game. And
Right.
It's I mean,
Like,
whenever people call out the community, you know, for just being toxic and full of shitty people, it's like, well, yeah, sure, that does exist, but I don't know, I've met so many good
I
people from
agree.
this game, so
Like, speaking of that, like, Russell Parr has been my
yes,
go-to fucking guy for
yes,
so long. He literally has been the reason I've ever done any well at this game. And like, I hear him, I get it. It's shitty, but when he steps away, like, it hurts. Like, I'm like, fuck, this guy has done so much for the community, and like, for him to hate the community so much, it's like
yeah,
I'm not on his level where I don't know what he's getting DM'd. I don't know how bad Hey Font is, and like, my experiences with the community are very good. I'm with you on that. I'm like, everyone I've talked to is they're very friendly. I'm having good conversations with people, and if I don't like them, I don't like, it doesn't affect me. I don't have to worry about it. There's no DMs from people I don't like. There's no interaction. I don't.
yeah. I'm not naive. I can attest to that there is shit that goes on. There is harassment, sexism,
Yes.
bullying, just dumb shit like that. And I mean, that's true of any game, and that's not to say that it would be tolerated in Pokemon just because it's true of every game, but it is out there.
Yeah.
So I'm not in no way trying to kind of, you know, pull the rug over that, because it's stuff that needs to be addressed, and we can always make this community better.
Yes.
I'm just always trying to like kind of keep it positive and be like, you know, there's plenty of great people in this game,
Right. I think.
and I'm trying to, you know, make sure that consistently outweighs the bad people in this game.
Right. I think our pokestats group is like one of the. I mean, we've had arguments in that group, but it's not. It's not like I'm leaving this group arguments. There's never been anything like that, and it's more
We're just arguing with Geisler about whether Green's Peakeron is good.
Exactly, dude. If he would have told me to play it, I asked him. I was like, "Do you believe in it?" If he would have said 100%, I would have just played it. But then he was like, "No," and I was like, "All right, I'm not playing it." Then you fuck.
Yeah, but no, we have good times.
Yes, and I think like everyone just needs that group. Like, you find like that solid group of people, and you're fine. Like, I get it. There's a lot of bullshit in the world. We don't even have to talk community wise, but like, people suck. All right, some people just suck, and
yes,
it is what it is. And it hurts when someone that is so prevalent in the community is just over it, you know. And
yeah, I did. That did make me sad. I was like, I sat and reacted that, you know. I was like, don't
go.
I mean,
but I get it.
He's got to do what's best for him.
Yeah,
so.
and like, you see all these comments of some of the, Russell cries all the time. I'm like, it might look like that from the outside, but at the end of the day, you don't know. You don't know what's happening, what's going on. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason. I mean, Russell.
Anytime you're a moderator
Exactly.
on Facebook that size, you're gonna run into some shit.
Some shit. I'm like, that's what it is. But at the end of the day, we're having fun. We're gonna be, me and you, fucking World's 2022 champions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any shout outs or anything you want to give, man, before we wrap this all up?
I feel like I've been giving shout outs this whole
right?
time. Yeah. I mean, I'll just say it again. I mean, everyone that in that first few months of pokestats and helped me get some recognition and just really made me want to continue doing it, like, you know, showed appreciation for all that stuff. Thank you to all of you guys. Thank you to all of my Pokemon friends that have, you know, the people I've met in this community. I haven't been to enough events. I need to see you guys more. I love you all. Thank you for testing with me and helping me become better. But beyond Pokemon, thank you for being friends. because that's the most important thing. And just thank you to everyone that appreciates pokestats content, everyone that follows us on Twitter, that uses the website, that uses us for their articles or their tournament prep or whatever. Thank you. You guys are the reason that I want to keep producing content for the site, and it's really great to see.
Dope, dude. Really appreciate you coming on. I'll leave pokestats always going to be in the description. Season 2 pokestats in the description at all times. Don't worry. If you haven't subscribed to Fade Town, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, there is literally the number one Pokemon podcast in the world. Those are facts. You can look them up in a book. You can do whatever you want to do. Those are the stats, dude. Go on Pokestats. They're there, I promise. Yes.
We'll get them up.
Dude, put that shit out. No, oh yeah, but you do have a podcast too. We'll shout out. You're still doing that, right?
Well, we haven't recorded an episode in a hot minute, so I'm not quite sure where that's going. We might get back into it. We might not. We might do some other method of doing content that we want to do. But yeah,
okay.
Me and Danny have 3 episodes of a podcast.
Okay, go listen to that. It's like your friendly podcast or something.
Your favorite Pokemon podcast.
Their favorite. See, not the number one. Favorite. It's kind of, it's all right. Yeah, number one Pokemon podcast. Favorite. Same thing. Sort of. But anyways, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. But
of course,
it's time to scoop it up.
Great talking.